Good afternoon. I want to call our Board of Education work session on June 4th to order. And if you would, place all electronic devices on silent or vibrate. And I have not currently asked Mr. Holmes if he would do our prayer and pledge, but since he's a man of the cloth, he should be prepared and ready to do that.
He also ready. Lord God, we come at this moment, first of all, to give you thanks for your grace and your mercy. Father God, we ask that you lead, guide, and direct us. Father God, we ask that things are done decent and in order. Father God, we just want you to know that we love you, we honor you, and we magnify your holy name. Father God, with all this said, we will have all present. You just say, amen. Amen. Let us pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so very much for that. Item number 3, the adoption of our agenda. What is the pleasure of this board?
Mr. Chair, if we could, as it relates to the adoption of the agenda, if we could remove item 5, the FY25 budget adoption, if we could remove that off the agenda, please.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and discussion. Any further discussion?
I would like to say, just being a bystander and listening to questions, I think it would probably be best, because we have some questions that we need to make sure we got clarified and understood answers to. But I'll be voting in favor of tabling. Thank you, sir.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor for removing and pushing that to that would be our June 18th meeting, signify by raising your right hand. It'll be 5-0. All right, with that made, do I have a motion for the adoption of the agenda?
Yes, sir. So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. 5-0. And then we will move on to our consent agenda. What is the pleasure of this board?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. It'll be 5-0. We will then move on to item number 6, which is our presentations and discussions. Policy GARH, employee leaves and absences revisions, our first read.
Good evening, Board Chairman, Board members, and Superintendent Simmons. I present to you revisions for Policy GARH, Employee Leave and Absences, which was presented for first read. The changes reflected in this revision does give additional information in the manner in which leave will be accrued. With our new platform, Munis, we do have the ability to accrue partial leave during each pay period. So our goal is to advance 6.625 days each time an employee is paid. So after 2 weeks of working, they have at least a half a day of sick leave if it's necessary to use time. But this calculation will still equate to 12.50 days per year for 10-month employees. I just wanted to bring that revision to your attention for your consideration before we bring it forward for a second read.
Okay, board members, you heard the presentation. Are there any questions? Ms. McDonald?
Thank you, Mr. Doss. Ms. Battle, I think we all have received a couple of emails concerning it's on the second page, I believe, where the sick leave is advanced to employees at the beginning of each fiscal year. Is the change because of the new platform?
No.
Okay, so tell me where, actually, we just got an email from an employee this week about this. Tell me about the thought processes of changing that, if you
Okay.
would, please.
That's a very good question. The thought process behind that is to try and encourage attendance in the classroom for our teachers, for our students. The advancement of sick leave days advances days, 12 and a half days come July. We have run into cases where over 100 employees have overused that leave before we completed the first semester. And you should know that that oftentimes leads to overpayment because we've advanced something that they've not yet earned. And then we find ourselves trying to collect. And sometimes people use that leave and don't even come back to work. And so that's really not in the best interest for our students. It does create opportunities for deficits in the school district because we're overpaying people for a benefit they've not yet earned.
Okay. Because my next thought was, I was hoping maybe do other districts do it this way?
Absolutely. We did and I shared that information. We did a review of all of the school districts in our RISA. And of the 7 districts, 6 currently do a month-to-month accrual process. Only 1 is still doing advancement, and then we're still advancing. But that change would bring us more in alignment with what other school districts in the state of Georgia are currently doing.
Because I was sitting here thinking of how, I'm just remembering I believe the 2 or 3 emails we received was how to roll it in, not so, you know what I'm saying? But if that's impossible to do, then that's impossible to do. But I just did want to bring it up based on the emails we received from employees.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Doss.
Okay, any other questions?
I would
comments?
like to make a comment
Yes, Mr.
to
Holmes.
that. This is highly unusual in the workplace to advance sick days. I think we have other avenues that employees can use if a tragedy of any sort comes up. I know, that can be worked out, but advancement of sick leave days, that's pretty much unheard of, especially out in the other avenues of the work area other than education. So me personally, I didn't have any problem with it because it's not heard of anywhere else.
All right, thank you so very much. There are no other questions, comments? Thank you, Ms. Battle.
Thank you.
All right, our finance end of the year update, Mr. Jones? We got tight quarters today, don't we?
Doing the gentlemanly thing there.
Absolutely.
All right, good evening, Board Chairman, board members again. This is our end of the year update for finance. So you normally just hear me talk about monthly financial reports. So just give you a little bit of update on some things we're doing in finance. Some of this will be similar to what I talked to you a few months ago with a little bit of a change and just an update to that. So communicating effectively is what we'll do for you. Empowering each student to graduate college and career ready is our goal again, our mission. And again, all of this roadmap to success is important, not just aligning those resources. So you'll get to hear a little bit about how we're using those resources in my presentation. So you've heard about Tyler Technologies, Munis, Ms. Battle just mentioned that. Just a little bit of an update to that. We, again, as a reminder, did this purchase on February 21st, 2023, board approval. Phase 1 is now complete in terms of our purchase requisitions, our budget modules, our projection modules, local school accounting. The last time I talked to you was supposed to go live on April 8th, and it did so. That's the checking accounts at the schools where they fundraise and et cetera. I had shared with you, we bought them a printer. We put them all on a check writing process with Toner. So it all is streamlined now and it flows into our general ledger and eliminates a lot of work at the end of the year. So our operational efficiency has been improved by doing that. Expense reimbursement here in the middle of the page, I've got marked in progress. Last time I talked to you, we were planning on trying to do that in May. We pushed that out a little bit just with everything going on with testing and everything at the schools, not to put too much on the schools. We'll either go live with that in mid-June, end of June, or 1st of July. And that has an impact with paying employees for their travel reimbursements, allowing them to upload that electronically into a new and robust employee access portal. It will allow them to get their travel reimbursements direct deposited. And so it's actually going to be very innovative. And with our semi-monthly payroll, one of our goals is to see if we can drive the travel reimbursements to be paid twice a month in the payroll check, so employees will clearly know when they're going to get the travel reimbursements twice a month. That's our goal. So then that will be non-taxable. We can set it up that way, but it would just eliminate a lot of people not knowing when they're going to get the check. Another thing for efficiency for us. So phase 2 is slated to kick off July 1st. Human Resources, Ms. Battle's office has been the leader in this. We've been supporting on the finance side, on the back end side of payroll. So that's our applicant tracking modules, our executive time, clocking in and out, paying folks through Munis the new way electronically, and then the way they retrieve their stubs, et cetera. All that's slated to go live next month. Other modules we're still working on. We're still in progress on our capital assets, work orders, contracts, and bids. Some of our next steps, transition to applicant processing. So Ms. Battle's office has been receiving a lot of training. All of the people, when they access our job opportunities, they will do that through Munis. And upon selection, that information will download into the mainframe system to eliminate a lot of double work for our staffs. As I said about executive time, that'll be our clock in and clock out system. And we're going to use smart apps to be able to let people do some work remotely, because that technology is available now for our employees. Next item I wanted to just say again, semi-monthly payroll, it is slated to go live on July 1st, 2 times a month. We do have the schedule ready to go. We've not posted it on the website yet. We're just tweaking some final things on that. We've had a lot of FAQ questions that we have answered, and we've also posted those responses, and Dr. Simmons has communicated that he sends out every Monday around noontime. We continue to do that. We still plan on doing a video on our in-progress Air on Communication Let's Talk, and we've talked to Adam about possibly doing a one-call message. We try not to do that too much. We want to make it important when we do a one-call for everybody, so you all might get that one call that says payroll will be paid twice a month in July. So cash flow, I just wanted to remind you, so a 12-month employee, for example, myself, I'll get a June 28th check, I think it is, a monthly check, and then I'm going to get another check on July the 15th, and then I'm going to get another check on potentially July the 30th, whatever that date is. So I'm getting kind of advanced. That's not the right term, but I'm going to be getting a little money quicker than I would normally have. But at the July 30th, I'm getting the same money that I would have for the month. So cash flow, your reserve, the things we're talking about for discretionary, making decisions, the retention proposal, all that stuff that has to do with having that cash flow helps this situation, or we would not be able to make this decision. And again, in our RESA area, I believe that we're the only ones that will be doing semi-monthly. So again, without that cash flow, we wouldn't be able to be doing that. It would make the decision a lot harder.
So, I ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Along those lines. And I know, you know, a lot of times we try to keep that money in so that it will accrue, so it won't affect any of that. You understand what I'm asking?
Keep it in, say it again.
Keep it in the account.
Right.
So that it will accrue interest or whatever.
Correct.
So it would not affect that.
Right. So we have a lot of other investments at the state pool.
Right.
We pull those down as necessary. We have a minimum amount that we need to have with Wells Fargo as our main bank to avoid fees. We've got it set up so we know what those benchmarks are. So we're always looking at reinvesting at 5%, pulling down when we need that money.
Okay.
Good question. And the last thing on this, we did a needs assessment. We're not adding staff for this. Whether or not we think we need to or not, we're not adding. We are committed to Dr. Simmons to holding what we got with our reduced enrollment. We're going to try to see if we can pull all this off as efficient as we can to support all the schools. And like I said, we'll have more communication coming out on that pretty soon. This is a little bit different than I showed you last quarter. You'll be seeing this slide again on our millage rate presentations. I put this in descending order or ascending order, starting with the highest millage rate going down to the lowest millage rate. These are actual 2023 millage rates for surrounding counties. So it is up to date unless somebody shouldn't have already passed their millage rate yet for this year. This would be for last year. Griffin-Spalding there has got a little bit different fonts, just where it stand out a little bit, and you kind of see where we stand. It's got all of our RESA districts, and then some of the ones, you know, that I've worked at and other people have worked at in the past. That you can kind of see at your leisure. And then just as a reminder for Griffin-Spalding, in 2014, long before I was up here with you all, the millage rate was almost at the cap. It was almost at 20, 19.47. We're sitting at 16.742 now, so this just gives you a little bit more historical value on, so you can consider that this summer when we come back to you on budget. So that's it, Mr. Chairman. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Board members, any questions for Mr. Jones? Yes, Ms. McDonald?
Thank you, Mr. Doss. Let's go back to, Mr. Jones, let's go back to phase one on
Okay.
that Munis implementation. That this is the, phase one has to do with bookkeepers and at individual schools, is that correct? Okay. Because-
Department secretaries, anybody that has that role.
Correct. Just for future thinking, I have talked to a couple of bookkeepers in two different elementary schools where their populations are much larger than an Ann Street, Moore, and Atkinson, I believe. What they shared with me was that, and I have my notes here, you have a clerical position, you have a bookkeeper, and you have a secretary at each of these schools, and I believe that's correct. What they're worried about is safety, because when things happen and implementing this new Sourcewell as far as purchasing and purchase orders, and it's much different. It's very more time consuming, and each of these individuals have a lot of experience, and they're having trouble finishing their work because they're always called away to take care of the needs of their schools at any given point in time. And if you've ever been in a school, then you know that happens. The nurse could not be there that day, the secretary may be out, but these two individuals I spoke to were more safety conscious and were worried about maintaining the safety of the building, the employees, and the students. So I think what I'm asking is, or not really asking, we need to think about perhaps adding as we move forward, because of the workload this has created for our bookkeepers. It's very intense. It's going to be great once they learn, but we may want to think about adding another clerical person at each of these schools down the road, because again, they both were just really concerned about the safety issues in each of their respective schools. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm kind of puzzled, Ms. McDonough, or you. I mean, I'm trying to equate bookkeeper doing their job with safety of a school.
If the nurse is not there that day,
No,
then
I'm
then
not
all that
talking
responsibility
I'm
either.
not talking about a nurse. I'm talking about, you mentioned bookkeeper.
No, it works fine if everybody's there, but when, with larger populations in some of our elementary schools, it was brought to my attention that it's really difficult to maintain safety sometimes.
I guess that's what I'm asking for maintaining safety. How, if that person, that bookkeeper is not there, how does that affect maintaining safety?
Well, you may have a person that's giving a medicine that they've never done before. I mean, I did it myself as a teacher, and that's not a pleasant position to be in. And I know we have to pull our nurses, but,
That shouldn't be a position anybody other than a nurse should be in.
well, I mean, but sometimes it just happens. I'm just asking us to consider in our elementary schools that have higher populations, just get more help up front. That's all I'm talking about. Because of what they're having to learn with this new platform, which I think is great. I mean, we voted for it, and it's going to make everyone's job easier, but you have to give them that learning curve, and it just all goes back to just taking care of the safety of each school. Because as we all know, on a dime, things can change in a school building. Most of us in this room have been through that. And it's not a real pleasant thing to go through.
Any other questions, board members? All right, thank you. Next, we'll have district operations end-of-year report. Dr. Warren?
Good evening, board members and Dr. Simmons and our public. I want to give you an update on some work that took place this past school year as relates to district operations. The majority of the items that I'll discuss belong on that lower box of row of blue boxes. We're going to align resources to student and staff needs, provide efficient and effective operations, and present safe and supportive learning environments, all under the goal area of organizational and operational efficiency. We coordinate a lot of our work items in playbooks. We have 4 playbooks: the great opening of schools, set the tone, plan for next year, and successfully close the year. Presently, we're in the closing the school year playbook. This past year, we completed about 375 items, many of which are aligned to our strategic plan. As it relates to policy review, thus far, we had 39 policies that we wanted to present to you for first read, second read, and final adoption. Thus far, we completed 31 of those. The remaining 8 will be submitted to you on our meeting in 2 weeks on the 18th. As it relates to our strategic waiver school system application, that resolution was approved at our last board meeting, and it was submitted to Godot back on May 23rd. In school nutrition, I'm happy to report to you that we're in the black financially. This year, as of April 2024, our fund balance in the nutrition program increased to $777,200 and $200. I'm tongue-tied, apologize. Got a dry mouth.
Say that again. Say it one more time.
Never mind. Yeah, it increased to $777,200. So we're in the black, and that's a very, very positive thing there. As you can take a look at our breakfast participation, it's up this past school year to 53%. We served about 762,000 breakfasts to our students. Look at that lunch participation. About 82% of our students ate lunch. And as it relates to lunch, we served about 1.2 million lunches to our students. All of that was done at about 80% of our capacity. We currently need 112 personnel. We're short by about 20%. This past school year, we used 15 temps from Spur, and we're working this summer to hire many of those temps from Spur full-time. I'll also tell you that thus far, we've participated in the CEP program for 3 years at 91% free reimbursement. We've applied and been approved for 100% free reimbursement starting next school year. So we're very, very excited about that. Facilities and maintenance, just some highlights. For custodians, we're staffed at 73%, which is 67 of our custodians. We have about 22.5 from temp agencies, Express and Spur. And again, this summer, we're conducting interviews to bring many of those temps on board full-time with us. We finally got our detail crew
Can I ask
back.
a quick question? Is
Yes,
there
sir.
a set time that we allow the temp person? Is it a year? Is it 6 months? Is it 2 years? Is it just based upon the individual?
Based upon the individual and their experience,
Okay.
at least 60 to 90 days.
Okay.
Can I ask, do we fall up under the same, I know with temp employees, normally if they work so many days or whatever, they have to be classified as full-time. Does that still play into the equation when they're working for us? They're contracted to us from a temp service?
So actually, it would not, Mr. Holmes, because they're actually through a third party. So any unemployment liability would be attached to that third party, the temp agency itself. And we typically, I think we do about 90 days, or 60 or 90 days before we look at transitioning on to our payroll as full-time.
Sure. Just a quick update from some of our East Plus work. I'm happy to report to you that the parking lot at Griffin High School and the athletic plaza in the back was striped last week. I've seen you some nice photos of that. That turned out very, very nicely. Looks real good. Additionally, this past school year, we installed digital marquee signs at our schools. And also, as it relates to keyless entry, we're not where we want to be. That's an ongoing project. Ran into a couple of obstacles, such as the company experienced some internal employee turnover. We haven't paid any funds yet. A few items remain from our punch list they're working on. We do have the cards in-house to be processed and ready to issue to employees. And lastly, our intentions and then the company's intentions are to stabilize their personnel, finish that punch list over the summer, and hopefully have the cards ready to issue to employees once they return in July and August. As you can see on the SPLOS there, we tell you the amount of money that was spent from each SPLOS and how much is encumbered. Many of it is encumbered. This next page, SPLOS 6, our current SPLOS that's ending, indicates the schools and the work that took place at Spalding, Cotton Road Middle School, and Future Road. I'm happy to report that work will actually start this summer at Moreland Road, Ann Street, and Kennedy Road Middle Schools. You recently approved the contract for that work in the last few months. Also, we're in the design phase of getting our bus shop up and running to turn some dirt on that project, and we'll be very, very excited when that starts. Also, SPLOS 7, again, it's been finalized and the bond referendum passed, and hopefully we get some bonds and some funding here to start many projects throughout our district. School safety and security, a big accomplishment consisted of us purchasing and installing the strategic safety platform from the grant from Godot in all of our schools and campuses. Training was provided to all of our employees. Additionally, we work with local law enforcement agencies to coordinate safety plans for big events such as football and basketball games and our recent high school graduations. That's a true partnership with our Griffin Police Department and the Spalding County Sheriff's Department, so hats off to them. Additionally, we provided some gang identification training to our administrators, and Mr. Britt is currently attending 2 conferences this summer, as well as Mr. Sutton. Athletics.
Mr. Chair, I have a question for Dr. Warren for the last slide. May I go ahead?
Sure.
Dr. Warren, gang identification training, how was that done? Was it for all administrators, just middle school and high school? Just talk a little bit more about that.
Yes, it was for all administrators, and it took place on a PL day session, and it was conducted by personnel from the Spalding County Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay.
Yes, sir. Athletics. This past year, we had 28 seniors actually earn a college scholarship. That's an increase of 10. Last year, we only had 18, so that's very, very exciting. Of those 28 scholarships, 12 were from Griffin High School, and 16 were actually from Spalding High School. Speaking of Spalding High, the football team won the region this year, first time in 20 years. And in Griffin High School, they have an esports team that finished in the top 8 in the state. And there's a listing here for our middle school sports champions. As it relates to transportation, I have some good data to share with you. AM arrival, 96%, PM departure, 94%. In terms of hiring, again, there are 98% staff. We participated in 6 job fairs throughout the school year. Throughout the year, our bus drivers and monitors maintain a 96% attendance rate. And I'm happy to report that we had a 100% pass rate from the Georgia Department of Transportation on our buses and vehicles. Additionally, as I mentioned to you on last month's meeting, and you met some of our awardees from our first ever awards program. Kudos to Mr. Martin and his staff. We recognize elite drivers and monitors, and end of year superlatives for Monitor, Rookie, and Driver of the Year. Additionally, we're taking efforts to streamline and readjust all of our routes based on student registration for the 24-25 school year. GSCS When you think about GRCCA, I want you to think about making history and being the first. Our academy is the first academy that Middle Georgia State University will partner with for aviation maintenance. That's a big kudos to our district and to our students. Additionally, our academy is the first academy to become an official partner with Delta Airlines Tech Ops. They visited our facilities and we visited their facilities as well. They've agreed to partner with us. So that's very, very exciting for our students and provides a pipeline to a great career with Delta. That partnership was featured in the James magazine. They did an article entitled From Classroom to Runway, Delta Looks to Meet Their Workforce Needs. That magazine is a major publication in the state, and it covers business and industry news in Georgia. Our last slide here, as it relates to more academics, students in CTE, they take inner pathway assessments, and for teaching as a profession with a 100% pass rate, plans are underway to align our students' work to Gordon State University's Bachelor of Science in elementary and special education. The goal is for those students to go through school and sub with us, student teach with us, and become our employees. As a matter of fact, at our recent educator signing day, we had a ceremonial contract that Ms. Ballard and her team put together for those students, so that turned out great. Additionally, in agriculture over the academy, 100% of those students also passed in the pathway assessment, and we're in the process of building a 30 feet by 40 feet greenhouse for the program with funding coming from a grant from Godot. And next, when it relates to Technical Certificate of Credit, TCC, this past year we had 178 students to actually earn that certificate from Southern Crescent Technical College. Last year we only had 157. That's a 13% increase of kids earning those certificates where they can go out and be gainfully employed. Lastly, enrollment at GRCCA, right now it stands at approximately 500 students. That's more than what we had last year. We started with about 391. However, that will fluctuate due to the stabilization of schedules at different high schools and whatnot. So that concludes a presentation, an update from district operations. At this time, I'll entertain any questions that you may have.
Board members? Ms.
I don't really
McDonald?
have a question, I just have a comment. Number one, Dr. Warren, I just want to say thank you for such a comprehensive
Yes.
end of the year report. And secondly, we have a lot of great things going on, and for us, it's really nice to see this so we can see it really compacted into one presentation. So I just wanted to say thank you and kudos to you and your team for putting this
Thank you.
together.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, and mine is towards the gang operation, the training. What I would like to, I don't know if it's currently happened, but I would like for the superintendent to look into and to see is like the agenda, is it relatable to what we are teaching or what we may have for professional development for our administrators? I know that the sheriff's department, that there are certain things that they are to go through when they're doing their presentations, but I just want to make sure that that is specific to Spalding County, and that also that it is collaboration between the school district and the sheriff's office, whether the school district is Chief Britt or others, but just to see that it's a cohesive and collaborative process and professional development that will be meaningful to our administrators. And so just if we could just follow up with that to see what it's like, and if it's not, if you would provide recommendations to folks superintendent so that it meets those standards.
Yes, sir. Duly noted.
Thank you.
And I just want to thank the board for your support of district operations and faith and trust in us. Thank you.
I have one additional comment, Mr.
Sure.
Doss. Thank you, Mr. Doss. Dr. Warren, I'm sure everyone that works in education probably knows Jose Ramirez. I've met him at a safety training last summer at the TIP office in Forsyth. He's the Georgia Gang Investigators Association. He's the president of that organization. He was a gang member himself, so I would perhaps include him in your teachings. He was very powerful and very knowledgeable and that is, a lot of his work is going around to speaking to school systems.
I can
So
let
that's
you know that-
another resource you have.
I can let you know that the presentation that the county, city, and the school system did for Archway to the Ministerial Alliance, that he was actually here in Griffin and is a part of that. So they are using him as a resource on a regular basis, and they now have phone numbers that they have swapped, and they are, so a lot of what Mr. Brown was asking for also is happening. I'm not a part of the actual training to the teachers, so I don't know that part of it.
That's
So-
good to know. Thank you.
But just, what they were sharing, that there is a lot of good collaboration that is happening. They are no longer trying to deny that there is an issue, and which is half the battle.
True.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Cook.
as our mission is to graduate students college and career ready, it's exciting to see the progress that's happened at the Griffin Region College and Career Academy.
Yes, ma'am.
Our partnerships with Middle Georgia State University and Delta Tech Ops is huge. Partnership with Wellstar Hospital, Caterpillar, Southern Crescent Technical College. We're really doing our part
Yes.
in enabling our students to graduate college and career ready. So congratulations. As Ms. McDonald said, great things are happening throughout the district in all areas, but this particularly aligns with our mission. So congratulations.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Warren.
Dr. Warren. Human Resources Department, end of the year report, Ms. Battle.
Good evening again, Board Chair, Board members, and Superintendent Simmons. I present to you our end-of-year report for the HR Division. Our non-negotiables, be professional, accountable, and communicate effectively. And we understand our mission and vision. We want to empower each student to graduate college and career ready. For this presentation, we will focus on goal area 2, high-performing staff. So we'll first start with our retention rate. So if you look back, we've included historical data, and we this year have closed the school year with an 86% overall retention rate, which you'll see is an increase of about 9% from last year. So we are making gains and yeah, it's okay. Yeah, and kudos just to all of the leaders that made that possible, and other teachers and employees. So we take a closer look at where we stand with the retention of classroom teachers, and so we're at 86.4%, which again is an increase of right at almost 7.5% from last year. So we are exceeding the pre-pandemic retention rates for teachers. And we also took a look at our induction phase teachers that are leaving, and we have also shown improvement there. I do want to point out, of those 17 teachers, 8 of those individuals were people that sometimes we have to help people find other pathways due to certification reasons, other reasons, but we did include that total. So we have 17 what we call induction phase teachers leaving the district, and that's a teacher who's been in the profession 3 years or less. And we want to just show you what the percentages look like. I know last year we were able to report. We have 51.8% of the employees indicated they were leaving our district for personal reasons. And we also have right at 26% who left us to go to a different district. We also have a percentage of teachers who are actually relocating, and some actually received a promotion. And we do have 14% of those people leaving the district, and they're actually retiring, and we celebrated those individuals last month at the retiree reception. So, okay. All right, so we'll continue on, but these are just some transactional numbers that we will share with you. It talks about the number of new hires we processed over the year, but I do want to call attention and highlight the number of transactions that were completed for certification. We had over 538 transactions completed for teacher certification, paraprofessional certification, and of that work, 384 certificates were issued. And that would include renewals, clearance certificates, add-ons, teachers getting upgrades. So that was significant work from the HR team. We also include with you benefits. We talked about this in previous updates. People that are out on FMLA. For continuous, we ended the year with 114 people who were on continuous FMLA, and we had over 200 who were on intermittent FMLA. We had 63 workers' comp claims, and I'm happy to report we were able to close 31 of those claims. 2 of those claims are still pending. And we still utilize our sick leave donation bank. We had 3 requests for sick leave donation, and all 3 of those requests were approved. So we are continuing to help employees that need further assistance. So this is where we are actually with our vacancies. We have 13 teaching vacancies and actually 65 classified vacancies. And as Dr. Warren reported earlier, we show vacancies for school nutrition program, but we do have bodies working in those positions by using substitute staffing services. It is our hope that eventually those individuals will come over full-time, and we will further reduce the number of vacancies that we report. Again, professional learning, I'll highlight, we talk about the number attended in person and remote, and it reads 11,150. And I want to point out to you, those were all of the registrations and enrollments. We pulled the report out of the Kick-Up platform. So in any given day, an individual can actually attend multiple professional learnings. So when we have a professional learning day, someone could take up to 3 or 4 different sessions. So I just want you to know that we are doing an exceptional job of providing professional learning for our employees of the district. And this is something that was relatively new here, the onboarding process. We've onboarded in person 100 new hires. This is something we have not always done here recently, especially in light of the pandemic, but that's an opportunity to bring new hires in before they actually start and give them the onboarding experience so they can understand the expectations of the school district. And we talk about our recruitment and retention efforts. We have actually hosted 6 different recruitment events, and we've attended 32 recruitment events. That would include colleges, universities, regional career fairs, and we have had 320 employee recognitions. And those were individual recognitions. For our classified employees this year, each month we provided the classified employees of the year with a gift, a token, and we were just able to celebrate that accomplishment for a whole year. Another thing, just recently we had our Employee Appreciation Field Day. We had over 700 people register for it, and we had a really good time on the field, just relaxing and enjoying each other's company. This time in May, if you'll know, we paid the 3rd of a 3 installment retention payment. So each full-time employee of the district that worked for the 22-23 school year received $3,000 total retention payments this year. We did the first payment, second payment right before Christmas, and we paid the last payment in May of $1,500. And we continue to offer employee emotional and well-being support by using a on-call counselor. She provides in-person sessions as well as virtual meetings, and she was very helpful this year. We had to call her in for 8 crisis responses, situations where our employees and even some of our students needed some support due to unexpected tragedies, and they reported to the campuses and made themselves available to help people with their mental health and emotional needs during that time. They also conducted 10 additional workshops for us virtually during our professional learning days. For our substitutes, the overall average of our fill rate this year was 84%. We still have a goal in mind. We want to get to the mid-90s, but we're still working towards that goal. But the good thing, Spur was able to hire and onboard over 250 new substitutes. So that enlarged our pool and gave us an opportunity to tap into more substitute teachers as well as school nutrition workers and custodial support. We also use this pool to contract with clerical support personnel as that's needed. And this is something that we want to point out. We do provide what we call a daily report sub for our UVA schools, our schools that have that are getting special support or wraparound services from the district, and we have those report subs go every day and get assigned to a classroom when they report. We continue to offer pathways to leadership. We have the Aspiring Leaders. We have our Superintendent's Leadership Academy. We're happy to have a second year of the Superintendent's Leadership Academy, as well as the other 2 programs. Volunteers, we've processed 323 volunteers over the year, and again, we continue to have that turnaround time anywhere from 3 to 5 days. Engagement and feedback, we have our spring and we have our fall employee engagement survey. We have also worked with a consultant this year, and that work continues. We've had 2 in-person sessions with Jeff Cordes, our consultant. We've had 3 virtual check-ins, and we also have identified working groups as a result of that. And with those working groups, we've identified leaders in the district who are willing to lead that work. 2 of our leaders actually help facilitate the employee field day. We have another meeting coming up with communication and visibility this month. Our exit surveys, we continue to do that. We've had 24 in person, we've had 89 online. And just so you know, some employees choose not to go through an exit survey with us, and we certainly respect that. But that's what we have here for this year. Those are the exit survey results. And I thank you for your attention. I'll take any questions at this time.
Board members, any questions?
I got one, Mr. Dawes.
Yes, Mr. Holmes?
First, if I could preface my question with a thank you and a comment. Ms. Battle, you know I'm an HR geek, and since you've been here, what you reported on recruitment, retention, and turnover is doing exactly what I know it should do, which is to show the numbers that we're actually dealing with. And when I first got on this board, seeing how many employees we had to replace every year, I was like, man, they satisfied with that? But I came to understand that was kind of the norm in education, and that's what everybody does. You know, most folks don't know. We replace on a regular basis 250 to 300 employees a year, and that's just not out of the ordinary for us. So I thank you for implementing that report so that it can show what's going on in our system. But there's still one thing that I know we can only do what we can do, because I know we have to depend on someone else to put a little teeth. But to look at, we have 45 employees that were no-shows. That has to be something that's not acceptable in the education profession, because right now people would do it even more knowing that there's a shortage of educators, and they can pick and choose pretty much where they want to go, and they don't have any regards to not showing up, having that professional courtesy. Could you explain to me what do we do when they do not show up? And I know it can only go so far, but what do we do when employees don't show up that we've hired?
Yeah, so our internal process, we do flag that as a not eligible for rehire, because sometimes they come back, Mr. Holmes. We put a memo to the file explaining our attempts to make contact with them, that they were a no-call, no-show, so that will prohibit them from ever coming to work back in the district.
So I've brought this up before, and I know they only would do so much if they're reported to professional standard. That we don't go that far.
Well, and if they've not yet signed a contract with us, then we couldn't report it.
So, I mean, I know, and I understand that, but I think just allowing, educators to do that and even not fulfill their contracts, you know, leaving and not worrying about the consequences, that's still a big problem as well. That's why I asked the question, do we do anything? But to hear we do them as do not rehire, that's a step. But that's something that in education, it has to be dealt with at some time.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other board members, questions, comments? Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Battle.
you.
Next, we have our Student Support Services End of the Year Update. Dr. Chris Whitley.
Good evening, Chairman Dawes, board members, Dr. Simmons. I want to bring you greetings from S3 Team Student Support Services. Just a quick update on where we are. Our Student Support Services or Student Services Division, our school nurses have had a real busy year this year. They have seen an average of 5,699 visits within the clinics within a month, and so that is busy. They've also had a 90% return rate for students going back to class instead of missing class or missing schools. Also, we are fortunate to have a dental care program where we've averaged 160 student dental appointments per month. Our school social workers has also been busy. They've served 570 direct services to our students, not only to our students, but during crisis situations as well. Central registration, we've had over 3,000 new or returning student registrations processed during this year. And our truancy officer, which is a one-man show, Mr. Sutton has been out to visit homes and to see students and try to get them back to school. He's done approximately 400 total home visits within the year. And we are pleased to announce that our average daily attendance rate is 92.56%. We're still striving for 95, so we are moving in that direction. And so we're still trying to get our students into school. I want to thank Dr. Moore and her team for working in student services, doing an excellent job. Our next up is exceptional students. Our exceptional students department, we've served 1,372 students with disabilities. That's an increase of 41 from last year. We've had 100% of our on-time evaluations being done or completed. We also have done initial special education pre-K diagnostics. We've served about 169 students. That is 27 more than we served last year. I want to go down to proportionality. We are at 100% proportionality. That means that we are in compliance with the state on everything that we do as far as identifying students, making sure that we're not over with discipline, and so we're very excited about that. And also 99.5% with our cross-functional monitoring student records compliance rating. We were at that rate. And some of the special events that we've had this year, Special Olympics, we've had Frisbee golf, flag football, soccer, track and field, and also inclusive sports such as basketball, and also the fine arts, winter performing arts, and spring arts fest. And our students got an opportunity to participate in what they call their prom, their high tops and heels. So great job to Mr. Kelly and the special education department. Next on the list is our counseling program. Our counselors have had an opportunity to work with DFACs, parents, and community members, as well as provide over 5,000 individual student support for our students or our scholars. And so they've been performing counseling lessons and also looking for scholarships and helping students provide, to seek out scholarships. And I'm pleased to announce that this year, our graduates of class of 2024 will receive over $6 million worth of scholarships this year. So awesome job to our counselors. Thank you, Mrs. Long and her team for the wonderful work that you do. Next up is our student support services as far as mental health and positive student supports. Our mental health officials or mental health clients go in and they work with our individual student interventions, groups, parent support, even provide support to our staff to help our students that are having some mental health issues or some behavior issues. Use Promise Place to help increase or bring awareness to suicide, trafficking, and bullying. Also, this year, we're pleased to announce that our FY24 discipline compared to last year, we had a decrease in discipline, 13.7%. We had a decrease in student days in ISS of 16.97%, and a decrease in student OSS days, out-of-school suspensions, at 12.79%. So thank you to Dr. Elijah McElroy and her team for the work that they're doing in the schools. ESOL program, we had Mrs. Hodo to come back this year, so I just want to give her nothing but praise. She's come back and helped us to improve our ESOL department. So we served 389 English learners this year, provided monitoring service for additional 152 English learners, provided language acquisition resources for 56 newcomer students that we received this year, and we've reclassified 34 English learners. That means that they either score out of the program or maybe in for monitoring for ESOL services. And so we want to thank our translators also for being on call, and we call them often to provide translated services, interpreter services for our students. So thank you, Mrs. Hodo, and the ESOL teachers back at the school for the work that you do. Next up is our Kids in Action After School program. We provided services for 341 students throughout the year, provided services for all 11 schools at 7 school sites. We've added Jackson Road as our last site. Schools that we service are Crescent, Futrell, Jackson, Jordan Hill, Moreland, Orrs, and Cowan Elementary School. And thank you for your attention. Any questions?
I got one, Dr. Ridley.
Yes, sir.
I guess under the Department of Mental Health and Positive Student Support, do we, I know at one time we were finding out students whose family, they were actually homeless.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, we were finding out about it in a roundabout way. Is that an issue that we've kind of got a handle on, or how's that going?
Yes, our counselors do a great job of identifying those students, and our social workers through Dr. Moore's department. Anytime they hear of something, the administrators will let the social workers know, and the social workers will go ahead and reach out to that family and provide support. We also work with federal programs too, to make sure those families get the support that they need.
Okay.
How many homeless students did we have this year? Do you know that?
We had about 100 on the list so I'm not sure what the definite number at the end of the list, but I know it's about 100.
With that, one last question. I know we have a deficiency of resources for, you know, temporary housing and things of that nature. How is that? Is that something we still having a big problem, or we found some kind of?
Yes, sir. We've tried to partner with different programs in the area to make sure that we find hotels that give us discounts through the Federal Programs Office. Also, Dr. Moore and the social workers have worked with different apartment complexes, things like that, to make sure that we can see if there's anything that they can do to provide discounted rent. But a lot of time we have people that say that they're homeless, but they're living with someone else, and that's how they classify as homeless. So they may not be out on the street as far as homeless.
Okay.
So when I say 100, that doesn't mean that we have 100 students out on the street. That just may mean that we have families that are displaced, living in another a family member or somewhere else.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay.
Board, any other questions, board members? Thank you, Dr. Ridley.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
that. Next up, we have Teacher and Leader Effectiveness Report. Dr. Taylor?
Good afternoon, Mr. Doss, board members, and Superintendent Simmons. It is my pleasure this afternoon to bring you some end-of-year updates from the Teacher and Leader Effectiveness Division. And so we will keep our non-negotiables this afternoon, and this presentation will cover several of our focus areas. I will touch on our vision statement, and you will hear several of our efforts to empower our students to graduate college and career ready. You have heard from district operations, human resources, student support, and at this point you will hear how all of those areas have supported the work of teacher and leader effectiveness that leads to student achievement. Here, this is just a reminder of the various departments that are housed within the Teacher and Leader Effectiveness Division. I supervise the executive officers, the school improvement coordinators, the Department of Special Programs that we know as CTAE, Fine Arts and Pre-K, along with federal programs, instructional technology, and then the Teaching and Learning Department. So just a few of our highlights. Often you have already heard about several of the updates from the Griffin Regional College and Career Academy. Our Division 2 supports GRCCA and the CTAE within the school under the work of Dr. Shepard. We are pleased to announce that the graduation rate for CTAE students is 99%. Let's put our hands together. With that being said, we have 10 pathways that are at both of the high schools. And then unique to Griffin High School is audio-visual, criminal investigations, and then at Spalding High School, they have early childhood. You have already heard about the WellStar partnership that has been in place for some time now, and there were 20 students that was part of the WellStar project through the CNA. We've had several students go off and compete either at the regional level or at the state level. I'll just highlight a few. We had 3 FBLA regional winners. That was in accounting and economics. We had FCCLA regional star event winners. We had a first and second construction, electrical wiring competitors. And then we've already mentioned the work that we have collaborated with the Caterpillar Signing Day and the Future Educator Signing Day. There on the right of the screen, you see that this year we are proud that these students not only completed a CTAE pathway at their high school, but they were also successful at taking the end of pathway assessment. And what this means is that they will be able to accelerate and skip past some of the coursework when they get to Southern Crescent, and you'll see the numbers of students who have already received articulation credits, and so that is definitely commendable. Next, you'll see the diploma seals that we have awarded. There were 45 students who were distinguished with their employability skills. We had 59 who showed that they were ready with pathway skills. And then I just highlight the 5 for leadership skills. So all of this means that our students are college and career ready. So they're walking out of the door with these credentials that they can take either to their career or into college to show proficiency. Next, I'd like to highlight some of the work under the direction of Jenny Wilson for Fine Arts. She has been very busy this year. She has taken students and supported teachers at the GEMA All-State Band. We had 2 District 6 Honor Band winners. We had 29 students that we recognized who received the Fine Arts Diploma Seal. And those students finished the pathway community service and then also completed a capstone. She worked with Griffin High School, as we've already celebrated them, and they won a grant of $10,000 and a lot of swag and goodies. So again, great things happening in the world of fine arts. We know that she provided the district visual art teacher artwork exhibition and the district-wide spring art show, just to name a few. So as I move on to pre-K, we're doing great things in pre-K under the direction of Dr. Bearden. We are now up to 22 pre-K classrooms, and that does amount to around 432 students. So the future is promising when we look at the enrollment of our pre-K students as they're entering into the Griffin-Spalding County School system. She has worked with the community this year to provide 6 professional learning sessions to our child care facilitators here in the district. And through that, they were able to earn professional learning units. One thing that was unique this year, Dr. Bearden, in collaboration with student support with Nurse Dingler, we provide our first screening with the health department to assist families so that when they came to register for pre-K, they only had one stop. They were able to bring their scholars with them. They got their hearing, their vision, all of that screening taken care of while they were registering their scholars. So that was a great success. And this summer, she has 56 students who are participating in the summer transition program. That's pre-K. As we move on to...
How many sites are there for the summer transition program?
For Dr. Bearden, do you have two sites?
Jackson Road and Owens Elementary. Jackson Road serves Atkinson, Jordan Hill, Moore Elementary, Jackson Road, Detroit, and Crescent. And Owens serves Beaverbrook, Cowan, Moreland, Ann Street, and Owens Elementary. That's out of town.
Okay. All righty, and so as we move on to federal programs, just a couple of highlights from that department. We know that we are closing out the ESSER ARP grant, and Ms. Austin's department managed the $32 million in addition to the other title funds that we had just for ESSER ARP, and we're closing that out. Those funds will be closed out by September. In addition to that, we received several mini grants. One of those was a math manipulative and a numeracy grant that Dr. Thompson helped with. We received science manipulatives for Griffin High School, and then we also received social studies manipulatives as well. All of our 18 schools had some form of extended learning throughout the year, so we have continued to support our scholars all year. And as we finish out the summer, we have 572 scholars that did enroll in the summer learning. Our summer learning program is up and running, and so we continue to really just work with families to make sure that those students that registered are actually attending. In addition to that, we did receive $2,800 for advanced placement. That is to send our teachers to additional training. And under the CTAE arm, we received a $68,000 grant for cultivating teachers. That's so that the teacher with teaching as a profession could continue her professional learning. As we move forward to teaching and learning, again, Dr. Greer and the coordinators have been very busy this year. We had a very successful implementation of implementing high-quality instructional materials in grades K through 12 in all of our content areas. We implemented new math standards. And while doing that, we were able to have 2 regional science fair winners. One was a first place and one was a second place. And then in our first inaugural state social studies fair that we had locally, we did have a scholar to advance to the state level and receive the most intriguing primary sources and overall best in class. So teaching and learning is leading the way. In addition to that, we know that we are implementing the requirements of House Bill 538. And with that being said, we had our first letters cohort to complete letters, and we have letters 2 in progress. 6 of our students received the biliteracy skill. That means that they tested to be proficient in 2 or more world language areas upon their high school graduation. And then 20 more students received the international diploma skill. And those students are graduating high school students who had 3 world languages, 4 credits, and an international focus, and they completed at least 20 hours of community service while also doing their capstone project. Just to name a few highlights from teaching and learning. And then our MTSS program under the direction of Ms. Phillips in collaboration with Dr. McElroy led several of our schools to receive a visit from S-Stage, and that's to look at our practices in MTSS and just how are we serving our students through interventions. So we received the STAR Award for Promising Practices. Teaching and learning has been busy. Next, you'll see our instructional technology. This is under the direction of Mr. Lonnie Harper. You'll see that he has been busy. We've closed over 5,000 work order tickets. The district has been busy. I believe that number is nearly 2 million emails, if I'm reading that correctly. And through our learning management system, we have completed our students at least 44,000 Canvas activities, so that we know our students are using the technology that we have placed in their care. In addition to that, we have opened and created over 100, nearly 200,000 Google documents. They have led the way in implementing Canvas, our student learning management system. We have interactive panels similar to what you see here in the boardroom in all of our classrooms, and that is very exciting. And they'll get an opportunity to present at the General Motors Educators Conference on artificial intelligence. As I close this presentation, I would not forget to mention that our efforts last year led to Futuro Road being recognized as a Title I reward school. That means that it was in the top 5% performance of Title I schools in the state of Georgia. We had a visit from our state Superintendent Woods, as 3 of our schools were literacy leaders. That was Jordan Hill, Crescent, and Atkinson. And those schools showed double-digit gains in their 3rd grade Lexals. We have delivered 2 community vending book machines, and we're working on a 3rd for the sock shop. Looking forward to that release. And we cannot forget that we revised our report card system, knowing that we had a standards-based report card really for over a decade. And so we received really good feedback from our parents in the implementation of a more standardized traditional report card, grades K through 12. We are excited that as we prepare to take a team back to Avid training this summer, 3 of our sites have already received their certification. Those schools are Carver, they are Kennedy, and they are Rehoboth Road Middle School. They're now certified Avid sites. Yay.
Yes.
We have 2 students that we're preparing to send off to the summer Governor's Honors as finalists. That's Winter Yakalio from Spalding High School. She will be competing in agriculture and biological science research. And then Jacoby Spencer will be competing in theater. Those students are headed to Governor's Honors. Griffin High School is recognized as a advanced placement school, expansion school, meaning that they have increased year over year their advanced placement offerings. And then finally, this year, we continued our literacy advisory. This work was really supported by the work of Dr. Greer in order to implement the mandates of House Bill 538 as we make sure that we're transitioning to the science of reading. And then I'll conclude with the work that we have done with the gifted advisory that I look forward. There's an information paper that has been provided for your review. Those recommendations will be provided to the superintendent, and I look forward to coming back at a later date to share with you more intensely about what we found with the gifted advisory. So as I take my seat, these are just some things to look forward to in the coming year. We look to launch accelerated reader in grades K through 5, and then Beanstack that should be in grades 6 through 12. These 2 programs will allow us to be able to monitor the reading growth and the amount of reading that our students do from kindergarten through 12th grade. The excitement around Beanstack is that it is more of a community effort. We will be able to partner with the public library as they too use Beanstack. And Mr. Harper's department, Instructional Technology, will be leading that effort as we do a community launch, as we try to get Griffin-Spalding reading, because we know that one of our goals in the literacy advisory is we're on the rise, reading improvement for student excellence. So that is to come. Much of the feedback that Teaching and Learning and the Teacher and Leader Effectiveness Division received this year is that we really wanted to reduce testing. And so in an effort to do that, we have decided that we will discontinue MAP growth. We will continue MAP fluency. And MAP fluency is part of House Bill 538. And we'll come back to you soon with a presentation just to help you understand those mandates. We'll continue with MAP fluency for our students in K through 3. However, we will discontinue MAP growth. What that means is that we will begin to focus more so on iReady. We have been using iReady for the last 2 years and MAP at the same time. But as we reduce testing, we will archive or we will retire MAP growth. We'll continue with MAP fluency. And it is my goal that at the next board meeting, I will bring some representatives from iReady so that they can really provide you just an overview of their services and allow an opportunity for you to ask questions. This does conclude my update. Are there any questions at this time?
Board members, any questions? I don't necessarily have a question, but I'd just like to make a comment and thank both yourself and Dr. Bearden for the involvement that you have with our 0 to 5 initiative and the First Readers program that is here within the community that is trying to get some footing to get stronger. And so your involvement, I think, is helping with that. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And thank you for this report.
Okay.
All right, board members, you have a couple of informational items that are in your packet, the summer learning program update and gifted services. Dr. Taylor just said that will be coming with a presentation at a later date for that one. At this time, if there's no questions, we will move on to governance team comments. We good with that? We will start with Mr. Holmes over there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I guess I kind of regurgitate what has already been said about these reports and things that are going on in our system. I know sometimes we get kind of bogged down with certain issues and certain complaints, but when you look at the big picture of performance and activity in our school system, you know, we have a lot of good things going on. And I always tell people when they go to harping or focusing on that negative, we really do have a lot of good things going on, and just having it on paper, I wish more people would, you know, tap into the website and review this because it really speaks for itself. Doesn't need to be propped up or anything. It speaks for itself. We have some wonderful scholars. We have some great employees and great programs going on. So I just wanted to comment on that because sometimes people don't get to see the grand scheme of things in education. They get focused on one specific issue. So I appreciate the report of this meeting and everyone that reported. Thank you, sir.
All right, Ms. McDonald.
I just wanted to personally thank, while I have an opportunity, Mr. Jones, Dr. Warren, Ms. Battle, Dr. Ridley, Dr. Taylor. Your reports are so, I'm just so glad I have a copy of it, even though I went over it before the meeting today. I just wanted to say thank you for, I can't even imagine the time and effort it takes to put something like this together. So I just wanted to say thank you. And I would agree with Mr. Holmes. There are a lot of good things going on in this system. And I wanted to remind people looking that you can get to all of these reports that each of us have heard today online. Everything that, we're very transparent in that, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. You can get that online. And you can go back and look over these too, which I will do in the next day or two myself, because it's important that I remember some of these things when I talk to my own constituents in District 5. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Mr. Brown?
Thanks so much, Mr. Chair. Just a huge shout out to the class of 2024. We are so very proud of you. Like we said at our last board meeting, to those scholars, you know, you can get to anywhere from the greatest city in America, Griffin, Georgia. Congratulations to all of our educators. You did it. I know that this phrase resonates with many of them. It's summertime, so you can keep them kids. To our scholars, continue to get your rest. I know some of our scholars are doing summer school, but remember to keep your minds active, keep them busy. If you can, read, write, speak, and solve the entire summer so that you are ready for your next school year. To our central office staff, thank you so much for all of your hard work. These presentations that were done today help us to keep a pulse of what's going on in our district. From student services to finance to teaching and learning to our transportation, nutrition. Just thank you for everybody for all of your hard work in putting these presentations together because we greatly appreciate it. And if you are not following the district on social media, be sure to go ahead and follow our district so that you can get these presentations. If you visit our website, you can go on, it'll give you the link to the YouTube meeting as well as the agenda. And you can click assembly for these agendas and for these presentations. It is for your public consumption. And we're just very thankful to our staff who just work tirelessly to make things happen. Myself and a couple of board members will be in Savannah this week for Georgia School Board Association training. So to Ms. Ray, thank you so much for all of your hard work, whether if it's 2 weeks or Johnny on the spot. Let me tell you, Kim Ray gets it done. So thank you so much to Ms. Ray and to our superintendent for just making sure that it gets done. And no other report, Mr. Chair.
Cook?
What a great evening this has been. I echo what Mr. Holmes, Ms. McDonald, and Mr. Brown have said. I have goosebumps listening to all the presentations tonight. Thank you for your hard work in creating this. Great things are happening here. It is just amazing what we're doing for all of the students in the Griffin-Spalding County School system. And I have to say, as Dr. Randall Peters, one of our former presidents at Southern Crescent Technical College, used to say, if that doesn't light your fire, your wood's wet. It's been a great evening to celebrate accomplishments for our school system. Thanks to all of you. Keep lighting our fire.
Dr. Simmons? I would like to ditto everything that was said. What I heard today is that we are working very hard to pay teachers more. Student discipline is going down, that people are staying around. And, you know, when you're turning the ship, sometimes the bigger the ship, the longer it takes to turn. But thank you for the hard work from all of the central office staff, all of the administrators at our schools, our teachers, Dr. Simmons for leading this initiative and working through all that you are working through with leading the board also in that process. So thank you. Board members, at this time, we do not have anything for executive session today. And so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Be 5-0.